In 1943, Nazi commanders panicked, not over tanks or bombs, but over a woman's face printed on millions of Allied leaflets. High Command offered a fortune for her capture, yet she held no weapon. Why did her beauty make Germany lose control? And what secrets fueled the psychological war that followed? In the shadowed offices of London, 1941, Allied planners faced a new kind of battle, one measured in minds, not miles. The Special Operations Executive, or SOE, began searching for weapons that did not fire bullets. Their minutes from that year reveal a striking idea. Use the image of a woman, not as a seductress, but as a memory. Something to remind German soldiers of life before the war. Frontline reports described men worn down by 18 months without leave, longing for the world they had left behind. The SOE's early volunteers were not named in official records. Anonymity was protection, both for them and the campaign. The doctrine was simple but radical. A single photograph could stir nostalgia, disrupt discipline, and offer the faintest hope of escape. For the men in the trenches, the face on the leaflet was not just beautiful, it was the promise of home, carefully chosen to break the spell of war. By 1943, Allied psychological warfare had become an industrial operation. Printing presses in London, New York, and liberated Paris ran around the clock, churning out leaflets by the millions. The Psychological Warfare Division at Supreme Headquarters, Allied Expeditionary Force, managed a budget of $12 million, an extraordinary sum at the time, earmarked for paper, ink, translation, and distribution. Production logs show over 1 billion leaflets rolled off these presses between 1942 and 1945. Teams of designers and translators worked in shifts, pairing carefully selected images with messages that promised safe conduct, food, and medical care for anyone who surrendered. Each batch was tracked by serial number, mapped against drop zones, and measured for results. Allied analysts estimated that for every 200 leaflets scattered over enemy lines, one German soldier would choose surrender. The scale and precision of the campaign turned a single anonymous face into a weapon delivered by the ton, not by the handful. Within weeks of the first mass leaflet drops, the Nazi command moved from anxiety to outright repression. Legal circulars circulated through Wehrmacht ranks, signed by military judges and SS legal bureaus, and they defined possession of Allied propaganda as a criminal act. Orders instructed that anyone found with these leaflets, no matter how innocuous the image, could face a court-martial. In practice, this meant summary trials, harsh sentences, and in documented cases, execution for so-called demoralization. The SS issued warnings to unit commanders: destroy all enemy materials on site or risk your own safety. Rumors of a reward for the model's capture, whispered in barracks and reinforced by Himmler's own rhetoric, stoked fear and suspicion. The law, once a tool for discipline, became a weapon of panic. Soldiers now faced a new danger, not just from the enemy, but from the very paper in their pockets. Gestapo field agents swept through barracks and dugouts, searching for forbidden slips of paper. Over 400 investigations were opened in a matter of months. Each case was a collision between suspicion and longing. Diaries were seized, pockets turned out, bunkers stripped of every scrap that might hint at Allied influence. Interrogation files from 1943 detail men who risked everything to keep a single leaflet hidden. Some soldiers claimed ignorance. Others confessed to reading the message again and again, drawn in by the promise of home. Orders to destroy enemy materials were clear: burn on sight, report any comrade who hesitated. But every crackdown only fed the hunger for what was banned. The more severe the punishment, the more the image traveled, passed from hand to hand beneath the eyes of the regime. In trying to stamp out hope, the secret police only made it contagious. On the Italian front, in the winter of 1944, surrender sometimes began with a slip of paper rather than a shot. Military psychologists studying these moments found a pattern. Soldiers who believed surrender meant survival, not shame, were far more likely to lay down their arms. The promise on the leaflet, a warm meal and a chance to see family again, cut through months of exhaustion and fear. Post-war interviews with thousands of German prisoners revealed that nearly 2/3 remembered Allied propaganda as a turning point. One former soldier described walking into Allied lines with a leaflet in hand, choosing hope over orders. The science was simple. When hope became real, surrender became possible. No official record ever named the woman whose face haunted the German front. Unnamed. Allied security demanded secrecy. Models, if they existed, were chosen carefully and then erased from the files. Surviving memos speak only of anonymous subjects and composite images blending features to avoid any single identity. Protected. After the war, the Special Operations Executive destroyed most personnel records tied to psychological campaigns, leaving behind only fragments and rumors. The absence was deliberate. Protection for those involved, and a strategy to let every soldier see his own longing reflected in the image. Erased. Decades later, historians still search for her name, but the archives offer only silence and a face without a story. The power of the image endures, precisely because she remains unidentifiable. Unidentifiable. Today, wars are still shaped by images and ideas, not just weapons. As propaganda evolves, so does its power. Sometimes hope on a page can end what armies cannot.